All right. Well, we're back here at Lakeland TV. This is Dr. Roderick Brame with the Brain Trust for the Art City Arts, and so we have with us Dave Collins.
Hello.
We have Jake Greiner.
Hello.
We have James Newberry,
Hello.
Rachel Brame,
Hey.
and Julie Townsend.
Yes.
Correct. And so
Julie's the head of the LDDA.
Awesome. She is our newest participant here.
That's right.
And so
Thanks
the
for
first thing
coming.
we do
Thanks.
for all of our new participants is we just ask them a little bit of so why are you here and why would you like to participate with the Art City Arts?
Well, I am I love downtown and I love Lakeland, and I think that art makes everyone happy, and we need a lot more of that in downtown. So I want to see you guys do more of the kinds of activities that we've just dabbled in a little bit so far in the last, 6 months or so, 8 months. So if there's things that I can do to help facilitate that in my position, I want to do that. And as a regular old citizen can participate, I want to do that too.
Awesome.
Cool.
We're pretty excited about building a community where it helps inspire people to be innovative and creative, and build that sense of community. And so one of the things that we have been talking about is the Art City Ants. And part of the reason for doing ants is because ants are also a community. And so I don't know, how is everybody doing with this? What did anybody build an ant?
I've just about got an ant finished. It just today was, you have to believe in evolution. And my ant started evolving right before my eyes. It didn't take a millennia. It just, his legs grew and he changed structure in order to become an ant that would stand up. But I've got it out there, and after we're done, we'll take a look at it and see what it
Awesome.
looks like.
Well, the other thing about this whole ant thing, well, of course, we can always bring an ant next week. We don't have
Right.
to stop here.
Mm-hmm.
But I've already started to talk to people at All Saints Academy. I already started talking to people at Florida Polytechnic. The next group of people will be talking to people over at Southeastern, and to see if we can get some more community involvement. And we asked you before, how many ants would you like to have? And you were like, thousands.
Right.
And so we're going to go down that path and see what happens.
Well, I believe that if we can get communities, but also sub-communities, a business might want to put an ant in.
Absolutely. I think some of that should come with some advertisement on it.
Right. A Kiwanis club may want to do an ant. Any nonprofit.
Like Lakeland Hospital.
Right. Or a group of any organization, their employees. It's kind of like having a team building event that allows people within an organization, could be one person, but within an organization, to sit down and say, how could we do some ants that represented the hospital, as an example, or represented the school, or just in general. Maybe the LDDA could, the LDDA board could
Right.
do
I was about to say I'm a staff of one, but I could probably get the board.
Yeah, to do an ant. But there's lots of organizations that are around, and I think once everybody starts, it will work. But I do, you're right, what you said earlier, we have to pick a date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because I can't go advertising.
Right.
I'm
There has
I'm
to be an
already, I've already
impending event.
started. We just have to have a date to say we're going to do it this then.
And date-wise, while I was with your wife today, we weren't dating, by the way. But the Arts in Transit is April
13th through the 17th, I think, is what we were
right.
talking about.
Right. So we don't want to do anything that is right on top of that or happening simultaneously. I don't think, but you guys.
You don't want ants on the buses?
Well, it could. I mean, they could, the two events could flow together.
They could merge.
Yeah.
And another idea behind this would be, how would you feel about on the day that we do the Ants event, that we also have like an All Saints Academy artist come be like the featured artist? Because the only reason I thought of that is because they bring with them families, other people. They already know you. A bunch of people there are familiar with the Paint Along Studios. And so I just thought it would help, I don't know, feed the cause.
At the bus terminal you're talking about?
No,
or
at the Art City in the parking lot here.
Oh, yeah. Anyone's, yeah.
And so that would just help bring people to go see what that is. And then you'd have all these ants all around town focusing that way. And some of those people would have built some of those ants. Come see my ant. And then there are also students there that produce really good quality art. And so they could have a booth and have their art up there. And then they would advertise to their parents and all that stuff. And it would just make a bigger thing.
Hello, Monica.
Hello.
Welcome
Sorry I'm
back.
late. Thanks.
We're just happy you're here.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet.
We were just talking about the Art City Ants event and trying to pick a date, but I also made a suggestion that we could have as the featured artist on that day, have it be students from All Saints Academy, because they will invite parents and friends, and that would just make it a bigger event, and also produce ants.
Which is important.
Yes.
The old ant concept.
Yeah, so I talked to the art teacher already there about the ants idea, and she really likes it as making it a project for the students to have to do.
I saw that they're already building ants. Who's that? That's pretty cool.
Where?
You got little minions building ants?
Oh, out there.
Yeah.
That is Randy's younger sister
Okay.
and her boyfriend.
Got it. Who built the balloon ant?
That was me.
I like it.
Thanks. Everything's better with googly eyes.
Absolutely.
I was going to attempt to build mine out of pizza boxes since I have leftover pizza boxes.
We do have a lot of those.
So the materials are
Anything.
anything you want to build them out of. It's
Yeah,
not-
like
you're not doing a standard type material. Okay.
It was like upcycled art was kind of the
Okay.
concept.
The only parameters I think that are necessary in this would be, well, number one, no profanity or bad words of any kind. And then
Ants don't swear.
correct, but people, if they're going to decorate these
My aunt
ants,
does.
and
But after a few martinis.
so the part of the reason for just bringing that up would be like people can advertise. So like if Palace Pizza wants to have ants, right? But that advertisement should, whatever they decide to put on it should not be any bad words or anything that would be offensive to people in society. In addition to that, my guess is that it should also say Art City Ants on it somewhere, and where it says Art City Ants or the size of that shouldn't be any smaller than the advertisement they put on it. They should be equal. And I think that would help us in both cases. It allows people to advertise, but at the same time, it also points people to the Art City arts. Any thoughts?
Well, is the concept of this to have different organizations and groups build ants in various materials and then put them on display for people to come and find them throughout downtown and look for them and in different scenarios or different?
So this is not
setups?
fleshed out yet.
Oh, okay.
And so one of just my own current thoughts about that were to simply have have a map,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say a group wants to produce some ants, and they can we can produce 10 ants. Okay, well, where do you want to put them? Here's the map. And then we have a map after a while that we have all the recording of everybody who's putting ants out and where they are, and that they all point over to here.
So, would companies be buying these as advertisements, or would they make them
They have
for
to make
themselves?
them.
Okay.
And our hope is actually they make them out of something that is repurposed. That
Okay.
you don't go out and purchase something new to build the ant, but you're
Okay.
doing it out of
Because I was
something-
thinking about the swans that are all over Lakeland,
Exactly.
where companies had like All Saints bought one, I think, that's out
Yeah.
there, and decorated it.
Mm-hmm.
We could do like an event, and instead we could do an event where we encourage people to bring recyclables, families to bring in recyclables, and you kind of put them in, you can separate them. Like here are milk jugs of the same size, here are, cream cheese containers of the same size, whatever. And then throughout the day, families kind of like a little workshop. Families can build the ants instead of,
Would you want to do that the day of or the week before?
what do you mean?
Well, if you had them all build them the week before, they could put them out on that day.
Yeah.
Or you could build them that day and then they could run out and put them out. I was just,
It sounded kind of like, a pumpkin carving event that's like family friendly. Like I
Yeah.
do it there and we display it nicely or go home with it, or I don't know, but it could be a very cool family oriented activity for sure.
and just so not everybody was here last week. And so the other thing is that we want to have, there's been an offer already, a $100 prize for somebody who can make a 5-minute short about ants. And so these are just films, and I've already talked to the person at All Saints that does the media class, and I've already talked to the person that does student activities at Florida Polytechnic about also producing shorts. And they can be comedy, mystery, drama. It can be ants. It could be ant puppets. It's like whatever, right? It just has to have ants as the theme somehow, and you have a 5-minute short video on it.
Is it back to the economics of ants, and would it be an unreasonable request to have everyone register their ant so that we know who made an ant and
Exactly.
pay a $5 registration fee or a $7 registration fee for your ant, which could then generate income to give first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 20th, 30th prizes?
How about for ones that are advertising? Like generic, like, if Monica wants to make an ant, she should just make an ant. But if some business wants to have it and have advertised on it, then they probably need to register and pay $5. That's just as a thought.
I think that people should register generally just to like have an inventory, but you can, I think the charging should be, like maybe more business focused, because you won't get a lot of participation from random students if everybody's got to pay $5 necessarily.
Like nonprofits probably not going to pay a fee. Like, am I going to get 20 kids from All Saints to pay $5 to come do this? Probably not.
So our business,
They would go to Starbucks first and get a latte. Just my guess. I don't really know.
yeah, that's most All Saints students. That's
Yeah.
what they would do. So would businesses be able to leave these up, or would it just be like a one-day event type of a thing?
I think it's a one-day event.
Yeah, I don't think you could, construction wise, and the ability to secure them to where they didn't blow and run into someone's car, because otherwise we're going to have too many rules
Mhm.
Right.
if
Mhm.
it is an ongoing thing. If it's a one day, the classic car show has a volunteer organization that literally has hundreds, but they there's a person in each block that is responsible for where you park your car.
Right.
And if the concept of the ants is that they create a swarm that goes to a specific place, then we're going to have to orchestrate that, as opposed to say, where would you like to put your ants?
Correct. That's why I thought if we had a map, you'd be like, well, this street is available, this portion is available, whatever, and then we can just work radially out from the middle.
And
move over.
then, of course,
Got it.
some of us in the beginning probably want to put our ants on walls and things as opposed to the ground. The day of, that's not going to be possible. Do you know what I mean? You can't shimmy up and just put it somewhere. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? It's a safety issue.
Right.
So I don't know how we deal with that. Of course, my only reason for wanting to put things up in the air is so people notice them, so that the ants are coming and then they want to participate in.
I think it's
doing
reasonable.
it.
I think it's reasonable for people to put them, within 6 or 8 feet of the ground, if they can just zip tie them onto something or, tape them onto something or whatever. I think that's fine. If it's theirs, that there's,
Yeah.
something on their building that's theirs, they want to tape it to or zip tie it to. That's
On their own building. But
Yeah.
if you come down,
Right. Yeah.
you can't put it on my building
correct.
without my permission.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's another good purpose for the map and who's got what area and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the ant that they're building for? Is that just a promotional ant, or is that an example prototype ant?
Yeah, well, we in the last meeting
Yes.
that you attended.
I know. I was there. I remember that.
She's saying it for the audience's purposes.
Oh yeah.
Get with the
Yeah.
program.
Let's remind them.
Let's remind the audience what this is all about.
Everybody was asked to create an ant, as a prototype or something like that of what they might do, because
So that's your ant, but you're building it by proxy? Is that what?
no, my ant is out there. I'm building my ant. I'm not building my ant.
I didn't build my ant. That's why I'm asking. That's a really big ant, and it looked like nobody built ants. So I was like, okay, well, why are they building ants? That was my question. Not that
Oh.
I don't remember the last meeting because I was here, and I do. remember
Yeah,
it.
I also don't have an ant.
I don't
and
have an ant.
I brought Jake instead.
You
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You brought
You
us
make me
uncle.
want to
Stand
bring
in.
mine in as an example, just to say, hey, we have a visual.
I had really good intentions and like several empty milk jugs ready to go. And,
Right, well,
and
there's
I didn't get my ant done.
Next week, there's
Yeah.
next week.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No excuses. You got your materials.
So how far out do you think we can plan this? And is this a spring event? Because if we go into summer, that's
Yeah, once the students go away, that
That-
makes it less.
yeah.
of an issue.
and or is it something we plan and it's a fall event after school starts again?
We could.
The building of the ants event? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the actual day that the ants swarm.
What? So when is the event when people are actually building ants?
We haven't
I
decided
don't
any
think
of that
you
stuff.
could determine that until you knew when the ants were going to appear, because you wouldn't want them to be too far in advance.
Why not? They don't go bad.
Storage
on what
might
they're-
be a problem if you're building a big ant.
So are you thinking of like on a Saturday or on a first Friday or something? Say, hey, we're going to advertise this thing. We're going to help you build ants because we got this other event
Yeah, I'm
coming
just-
on a month later or 2 weeks
Yeah, my
later.
thought is, to have kind of a makeshift event. It doesn't have to be anything amazing. Maybe Randy would allow us to use his space to get people to come down here and build ants out of, recycled objects. And that
Uh-huh.
way you get a lot of kids involved in building the ants, and they get really super excited because they've invested time in the ants, so that when you do put them out and they see them outside, they're encouraged to go to where these ants are, because
I like it because
they've-
it also
they've been a part of the program.
it builds some suspense.
Right. Like,
as it
when
leads
is my
up to the
ant going to
event.
get out?
Yeah,
Right.
no, I think that's a really good idea.
So how far in advance of the actual thing would you do it?
A minimum of 2 weeks.
Yeah. I would say. I mean, you don't want to spread it out too far, because then they'll just forget about it.
Right.
So when do we want to do the event, and then we'll back it up?
Get out your calendar.
I got my calendar. I know all the months.
I know that's a lie.
Hey, listen, I went to the doctor this week, and when you're on Medicare, they have to ask you stupid questions. It's one of the requirements. So they make you count backwards from 10 to 1 and say all of the
Months.
Yeah, the months
And
in
you failed.
backwards. No, and ask you what the date is. How the hell would I know? I mean, I
Who's
look
the
at
president?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that this week.
So did you pass?
I'm here.
That doesn't mean anything.
What do they not do? Then do you not get Medicare if you don't pass the test?
No,
You're like not worthy of health insurance if you don't know all the months.
Yeah, this one's way beyond healthcare.
Is there?
hello, Jessica.
Yes, Jessica is here enjoying
Hola.
us.
Jessica can replace
And,
me since I'm having to bail in a moment.
Jessica, did you do the minutes last week? Yeah. Thank you. Those were awesome.
Well, I think, a Saturday afternoon would be good because you've got the farmer's market and we could have it out in the parking lot here and maybe even, somehow in conjunction with or something we can, if we've got, I would suggest doing it where you've already got a built-in crowd a little bit for some, either piggyback on a First Friday, which it gets dark, so that might be depending on what month, or the farmer's market to capture folks that could do it but hadn't heard about it yet. So it's not just your crowd; it's you're plucking from other people's crowds, and that way you can get a lot of different varieties of folks involved in making the ants, and then they know what about the event and can tell people to come down. And maybe there's a little judging going on, a little
Right, prizes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think prizes attract people.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Yeah, even if it's just bragging rights, it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars, but it can certainly just be,
And it could be that a certain number of the ants, that if they're like spectacular, right, that we would want to have them every time we have Art City, like out on the asphalt around where the artists are at, as a thematic continued thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if yours won, we would like put it out, right? Especially if you have corporate advertising on, you're excited about that.
Semi-permanent advertisement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mobile. I mean, you can pick it up and put it other places. How about March 28th?
be aware of when spring break is.
I was gonna say, is that All Saints spring break?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would.
Is that that's last week of March? I
Yeah,
think that's when our
usually
spring
that's
break
when
is.
spring break is.
The reason we chose the 13th through the 16th as or 13th through the 17th for the
Polk
Arts and Transit.
Yeah.
Was because of the scheduling in between when the college students are still here after spring break is over, before they start finals, and there's all
Right.
these variables that go
There
into
are.
if you want kids to be involved.
What are your dates again? For the
Arts
transit?
and Transit
13th
is
through the
13th.
17th.
Yeah, of
Those are
April.
weekdays though, and April 11th, the Saturday prior, is Child of the Sun event. That's the big event that Rotary puts on at Lake Mirror. Of
What
course,
about
there's
the-
Easter weekend at some point in there, and of course there's Sun and Fun at some point as well. So there's a lot of events in March and April that you should sort of think of.
So we probably need to look at that and make sure, look at that calendar that's already somewhat full
Mm-hmm.
of things, and then picking a good time to have our event.
And it goes back to how many events can we pull off in succession and be quality. The Arts and Transit is going to use up
Mm-hmm.
energy and time. I'm not trying to postpone anything, but would we be better off with a September date? So we do one something and then 6 months and then 6 months. I don't know. And then in the meantime, just use that to involve more people, schedule the date, have workshops. I don't know. Anybody thoughts on that?
Yes, I mean, in my opinion, if you're trying to get that particular crowd, and they're going to be, gone or on summer break, then let's wait till the fall when they're back and start focusing on having the more grassroots street party in spring. That's my thought.
You can talk it up now and get the information out to them now, and maybe they work on it over the summer. Some of them, maybe some of them don't. They procrastinate, but trying to, just as a person who's done events for 10 plus years, it's to try to do something here in February and to try to do something in March or April at this point.
Yeah.
It's going to be painful.
Especially on top of what we've already bit off.
Right.
So one thing to do then would be to come up with like a sort of a bulletin or whatever, something about the idea of the contest, and pull together some corporate people, some nonprofit people, and try to get like a little community committee of people to work on the Art City Ants project. That's
Right.
probably the best route to go. Okay. Hey, Julie, thank you for being
Thanks for
here.
having me. I'm
Thanks for
sorry I
your
have to
input.
bail, but
Oh, it's awesome. We'll be here next Tuesday, I think.
okay. You want my spot?
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, Jessica.
Hi there. Sorry for being fashionably late.
Welcome to the group.
So, did I miss anything real important? We just talked about Arts and Transit, the 13th and 17th. Is that a finalized date?
I
For
think s-
Arts and Transit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a finalized date. Okay.
That's
It's in March,
April.
April. Anything else for the minutes that I need to be aware of that I missed?
Well, we were just talking about the Art City Ants event and
Okay.
trying to figure out,
Making a contest.
when we
type
would
of
have
thing.
that and who we would involve and whether we'd want to charge corporate people $5 to enter their ant and things like that,
Mhm.
or $5 per ant. That might reduce the number of ants.
True. Maybe we can give a discount to like people who are in school. So
Yeah.
school age
Well-
$1 or nothing, and then college age maybe $2 or whatever.
I don't participate in art contests that cost me any money. Ever.
You're out, Rachel. You're out.
Is it an art contest?
Oh, well, I mean, the more like the prizes, are incentivized to be like, make it an art contest. So,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
The prizes, I'm just trying to figure out how do we raise the money for the prizes, or do we forego prizes?
If you do it on Saturday from the farmers market, maybe use some money from that. Because don't they pay to be at the
I c-
farmers market? I don't know how that
Yeah.
money works.
I can't spend their money.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if that was something like if we did it.
Why are you limiting yourself?
If we did
No, I mean, we could ask, but it's they're not a money making organization.
as
Yeah.
is.
Well, I guess I'll shift our gears a little bit. And, is there any update about the Arts and Transit that everybody should know more that we need to be like doing right now? Or is it like take a little bit more?
Well, I hope everybody would like to participate. Yeah, I mean, I could provide you some information about that I learned today. So it's going to go on all week. The bus lines run from roughly 8 in the morning till I'm not really sure when they end in the
6.
evening. 6. Okay, so
Except on Fridays.
anytime that the buses are running, the opportunity is there and open for any artists to contribute really whatever they want to in any format they'd like to and at any location on the map. And so there's the bus transit station downtown where is like the central hub, where a lot of people meet. There are the individual bus stops in the county and general region. And then like art on the bus physically is also encouraged and has happened in the last few years. So those are the main like areas where, performers and artists are kind of suggested to hang, participate, and do things. But the docket is open for people to sign up for basically any hour of the day there and to really just do what's in your comfort zone.
Do we have specific permission from all the bus drivers to actually have someone on the bus painting or
Yes.
doing something like that? Okay.
Yeah.
This is sponsored by the bus company.
Okay. What kind of feel do we want it to have? Do we want to have more of like a beautification project where we're working on like the bus stops and the transit areas, making lots of art there? Do we want to have more of a performance feel? Do we want to kind of combine those? What's everyone's ideas?
So my feedback from the past organizers were that their biggest problem was getting participants to participate and commit.
Okay.
So I think a mixture would be great because it really allows whoever does come out of the woodwork to shine. But a beautification would be an awesome initiative. And Dave and I were at the transit station terminal today, thinking about cool ideas on that end. But the experience of, going to a bus or getting on a train and having like live music right there, or somebody's reading you a poetry slam impromptu, is, it's kind of cool and very interesting to make the atmosphere better. So both are encouraged.
My thought on the last, because I was in the meetings with Carol and David when they were trying to plan the last one, and was here for a little bit of the last one that they actually had, was that when you get on the bus and you're going from point A to point B, there's no actual, I'd love there to be a map that actually says there are events that are of the arts
scheduled stops and stuff
and
like
the
that.
humanities that are going on here at this time. So, we get more people to go on the bus and go to these specific events than people who are just taking the bus to go between, point A and point B might be work, right? Well, they're not going to really pay attention to the arts. We want to reach out to people who want to go to specific events. So, like, if we could do the whole music venue down, at the bus station.
So I think
and
they provided like a schedule to the media there about things that were happening.
It
last
was in
year.
the newspaper.
But
they
if
had
they
it last time.
Mm-hmm.
If
This is the schedule that was.
if
in
they
the
didn't
newspaper.
provide it for the artists,
last
that would
one?
be really, something I
I
would love
asked
to
her
do.
if she had that, and she's like, "No, we didn't have that." I'm like, "Well, that would have been nice to have."
No, this was in the newspaper.
I don't
Done.
read the ledger. Sorry.
But that's good to know. I mean, to email everybody on the contact lists with that kind of schedule
Yeah.
will be something we will do this year, just to make sure that everybody's in the know.
But I mean,
That's
should
right.
we plan something for buses to, stop specifically like on a Friday night at the bus terminal and have like a thing happening there?
Well,
because I mean, we've already talked with.
The buses. There's only one bus runs after 6 o'clock on Friday.
Okay.
It's the bus that goes to Polytech, and it runs until midnight.
Okay.
It is on the schedule and runs to midnight because Polytech pays for it. You know what I mean? It's not a part, actually a part of the transit
Right.
thing. It's to bring people from
It's a
Polytech.
shuttle.
It's a shuttle for
Mhm.
Polytech students to the terminal.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the thoughts that we discussed with them today was based on the conversations that we had when we were trying to do a second one in October. That I think that's the last meeting that you and I were in, in which they decided they weren't going to do it.
Right.
Okay. They weren't going to do a second one during the year, period. But that a nighttime event that was the introduction or the climax, starting on a Sunday or ending on a Saturday, and at the terminal.
Yeah, they described it if it was something classy, they'd go for it and endorse that all the way.
Well, it also, if it was something classy, the city would allow drinking on terminal property if it was a classy event. And I don't know what that means. If it's,
It's like we have a dress code. Would
Formal.
you please
If we can-
change into this
If we can get the jazz band
before
to come
entering the
down.
premises?
yeah, I think what it means is they didn't want to have a beer party for the bus people,
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
it makes sense.
but, to have someone else, which is a second component of art in transit, is making it okay for people who would not normally ride a bus to see that the buses are not all that bad. I mean, is a part, I think, of arts in transit. Also,
Because that's part of their purpose, right? They want more people to ride the bus.
Yeah. Well, without
Yes.
a doubt.
but
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I know growing
this-
up.
This is not what I meant. This is good, but this is not what I meant. So what I was talking about was there are already organizations within Lakeland, Bartow, wherever in Polk County, galleries, spaces, that I'm saying, like, maybe we should make a map on these bus lines that go past these galleries. Hey, get off here. There's a gallery here. And then, or the Polk Museum of Art. I think they're free on Thursday and Fridays, but maybe they, you know,
Make
could
an
do
exception for
some-
the week of transit.
yeah,
Mhm.
make an exception for the week of transit. Like if you have a stamp, I don't know what you do for arts and transit, but if you have the particular stamp and you get off at one of these galleries or the art museum, you'll get free admission or you'll get like 10% off something at a gallery. You know, we should involve some of the places that already exist as art spaces in Polk County, because I think a lot of people, they don't know about them. There are a lot of places they don't know about that exist as art spaces that could be a friend to us as arts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting problem trying to figure out how to get people to take the bus more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
growing up, my mom was like, "You can't take the bus," and I was like, "Why? Like, if you can't
It just
drive me,
has
I'm
a
just gonna take the
stigma.
bus."
I think it helps.
Because I took the bus all throughout college when I went to Utah, and she was like, "No, it's because it's Utah. Florida's dangerous." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, calm down."
Well, I think it's just the infrastructure here is set up so that you almost necessarily have to have a car. In Milwaukee, I didn't have a car. I took the bus or my bike everywhere. It wasn't even necessary for me to have a car. It's a totally different universe here. And so to get people on buses here, that is like a miracle from God, I think. That's going to have to happen.
Especially
Or they're going
'cause-
to have to change their infrastructure and make it less car friendly.
When I go work with the school system, the first thing I do is I go meet with the teachers in person and ask them what they need. And so it's probably going to require somebody going down to the terminal and asking people, like if we did this art
Should we have a
thing,
big
like
interview
what,
thing?
Yeah, what would entice you to get off the bus and go to these other places? Or, you know, we probably have to have a little info from people.
Are you talking about the people who currently ride the bus, or are you talking about somebody getting on the bus to take the bus tour?
Both.
There seems to be a huge stigma against public transportation here. I don't know what it is. Like it's been
That's because poor
labeled
people
as-
ride the bus.
labeled as gross, but it's not. I mean, it's not just poor people who ride the bus. It's not.
Yeah, but it's the perception that
It's the
other people
perception.
have.
It
that
is.
only
The
Poor
idea.
people ride the bus. And so how
Somehow, poor people are dangerous. You know.
you know how Art City, you know, a nascent organization is going to combat that. I hate to be the glass half full kind of person.
Well, they're desperate,
half
or
empty,
they wouldn't
excuse
want
me,
us to
but-
do this.
Well,
It also just
well,
benefits
we
the
can
people
we can
that
do what we can. Then, but
regularly
I
ride.
don't know.
Mm.
I don't
you know,
know.
it's just a beautification,
Yeah,
initiation too.
yeah.
Because it's not people that ride the bus are going to continue to ride the bus because that's how they get around.
yeah,
And it's nice to just brighten up people's day too. And
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird concept now. In school, you take the bus to school. I mean, now it's a little half and half, but when you get out of school, you're like, oh, I can't go on the bus anymore. Even though we've been going on the bus for I don't know how many years, going back and forth to
it's
school.
usually 12.
12. Depending, you know. Skip a few, get held back a few.
Those kids who get cars, then you glom onto them. And you're like, can I get
The
a
w-
ride from you?
The ones that ride the bus for 14 years ride the bus for the rest of their lives.
Oh, the statistics.
almost.
So, you know, you
The
said
bus has never been glamorous, even in high school, you know, grade school, whatever. No one likes taking it. But, you know, I'm not going to get into a huge energy diatribe in the Art City podcast that we're doing, but I think it's certainly something we have to, like, help people consider taking or other forms of transportation in the future. I would love if that was part of our mission. To make people more aware of not just, you know, arts and humanities, but of also their, you know, their ecological impact.
right. It's environmentally friendly to take the bus.
It is. But I think that's beautiful. I think there is something very beautiful in keeping the earth pristine, and I think that it's not so tangential from arts and culture and the like.
Mhm. I'm just rolling through in my mind all the different ways of like attracting people to come right on. What do people want to see?
Yeah, but bottom line, if no one comes, if no one comes other than the people who are currently riding the bus, what a wonderful thing to expose people to the arts who possibly, because of the economics of things, whether there's a stigma or a reality there, that they are able to see something that's different in their lives that could influence them, in some other way. I don't think it has to be a thing where we have to have a big crowd in order for it to be a success.
Yeah.
I do believe we have to have big event, because success is measured many times by whether or not the Ledger, the newspaper, the television stations, and so on and so forth pick it up and broadcast it so that everybody sees that there was an event. And whether you like the Ledger, it was in the Ledger all 5 days last year.
Hey, what month?
Was it in?
Yeah,
In May.
I wasn't here.
They were.
So take that, David.
Hey, will you read the Ledger if they sponsor something that we do?
Maybe.
Just checking.
I have a hard time like getting through all of the cute, fluffy kitties on Reddit before my coffee's done in the morning. So, but I think that I agree with you. Besides getting a huge group for arts and transit, I agree with you and Rachel. Brightening someone's day is the best thing we can do, and maybe, just maybe, they're not, if they're sitting on the bus and they're, it's just a means of getting from point A to point B, probably not talking to anyone about the bus like, I think the bus is great, I love it every morning. But if there's art on it or music on it, they might be the biggest advocate for transportation that we can create through art, by them saying, that was really cool, and the bus can be really cool. And like when somebody says you don't have a car, and you never know, one day they might be the person that changes somebody else's mind because they're like, no, the bus is really great.
One of the things, the very first question was, what are the intentions, right? And they said to have a good time with art on the bus. Do you know what I mean? That, say, well, do you have an agenda beyond that? Not really, other than we want it to be in the newspaper.
Yeah, it was kind of like, well, if you want to build an art culture, or ride around the city and expose yourself as an artist, it's kind of like the way that they were going about, just trying to spread the love of the arts. And, it's an interesting venue. It wouldn't have been, I would not have thought that my live art would have happened on the bus, maybe just out of the blue, but given an opportunity to do it on a bus or do it in an open air setting where people are coming and going, is intriguing. And, I'm excited about participating as well as helping put it together.
Last year, we, when in the there's really, like they said, 10 till 2.
Yeah, that was their window of like the
That's
largest.
maximum.
Yeah, the largest ridership is between those hours.
Right. All of the, and then when we were downtown between those things, because Aaron and I both painted there, geez, it seemed like First Friday. You know what I mean? There were people everywhere. There were just hundreds of people, it seemed like, that were there, and then it just one thing ran into another. So, the kids from the art school, Harrison, they did that "Keep on Down the Road" song and everything. A bus pulled up, 50 kids got out, and did a dance, you know, and, you know, sang 2 or 3 songs. And, you know, when that was over, we were still not finished painting, you know, our mural. And then there was somebody with a cello playing from a different school. And, you know, 30 minutes later, there was somebody else doing something else. And after having been in it, I actually attended each day, you know, from 11 to 2, just to see what was going on, you know, see how everybody was. And I mean, it's a big deal for the people that are bus riders. It really is.
Cool.
And
Excellent.
I think the kids that participated and did it liked it also. You know what I mean? Because it was not a traditional place that they normally entertain. It was rad, man.
Yeah, I was encouraged by that. They also encouraged flash mobs as like a
Yeah.
form of art.
That's cool.
So,
Those
you
are always
know,
fun.
Yeah, we can keep that on the docket. But the one other last point about the art in transit that was really kind of crucial, and I hope that we can get people from that are here to participate. Just the documentation of the arts while they're happening, or you know, some shots of happy writers affected by the
Videos.
arts is very crucial and helpful for the promotion of it in the upcoming years afterwards, and you know, to I guess for their they make like a
You can kind of use
flyer.
advertisement
Definitely. So
for the next time.
it's very helpful.
So who's the core committee for putting together Arts in Transit? Who's
We are.
You're on
is
it.
is there this is like the nth time I'll propose this, and usually from groups I'll get I don't use that, but it is so helpful. Can we use Google Drive, please?
What's Google Drive?
If you would
It's
like,
like it's a document sharing.
Yeah, where you can put your Google Docs
right.
up there and
Oh,
share
okay.
them.
Right. And so like you can see when people are, you know, updating things, you can update or collaborate in real time.
Mhm.
You can have
So it's like an
convers-
ongoing column type of thing.
Yeah, and you can throw spreadsheets up there, you can throw documents, and that way like if you need someone to contact someone and do an ask, like you can see that up there and then you can update it in real time and be like asked. We don't have to talk to those people anymore, and this is what they said and this is what we're getting.
Oh, so you have like a checklist. of
Right. And
who's
that
for sure coming, what they're gonna do,
Mhm.
mhm.
who we already asked. Okay.
And so, like, it doesn't have to just fall on one person to be like, oh my God, I've got to contact all these artists now. It's like, no, there are, you know, 8 people in this room or whatever that, you know, just keep a spreadsheet and we can see, you know, it's updated live. So if Jessica were to call someone, she could just be like, I called them, I left a voicemail. They called me back. This is what they said.
Right.
You
Plus,
know?
you can send them all an email that says, "Here's the list of when you're presenting and where you're doing
Yes.
what you're doing." Right.
Yes. And
That's
it's
a good
as
idea.
simple as just having a Gmail account, and you can just invite people to your folder.
I have
Or
a
you-
question. I was looking at the paper, and it looks like there's like 8 to 10 different bus lines. Do we want to kind of assign a certain thing to that bus line if we're gonna have like arts on the bus? So we want to have like a poetry bus, a paint bus. Just because if we have it like assigned to a specific one, then we'll say, okay, we need this many artists for this bus, this many poets for this bus, this many musical acts for this bus. Just it keeps it more organized, and it keeps the time and the space filled up with arts the whole week.
I like hyper organization. The only problem with it
yeah.
is that then there's only poetry on like Route 1. you
yeah,
know?
and in location too. Like if you're a participating artist, you might have a preference for where you would want to go, as just geographically, you know, based on
Mhm.
where you're at.
I know
Um,
I did.
Yeah.
Do you know when I painted on the bus, I told them where I was going to get on the bus, and you know, because I didn't want to drive to Timbuktu to get on a bus going somewhere that I'm not familiar with. So I got on the bus in front of City Hall, you know, because it stops right there on Orange Avenue, and I, you know, took the bus to Winter Haven, painted on the way over, then took the bus back, and they let me out at the terminal instead of going the loop back to where it would have gone past and whatever. But I didn't want to go to Bartow. I didn't want to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, when we have asked artists in the past, what do you want to do? They said, well, I did it 2 years ago, but there were 3 people on the bus at the time that I did it. I'm not going to do it anymore unless you tell me which bus, has greater population.
Mm-hmm.
So although you try to spread everybody out and make sure you get somebody on every route, I think from a maximum exposure situation would be to take the busiest bus lines and
Do we know which ones those
Fill-
are?
fill them up. It's those ones right
Okay,
there.
so the ones on this list.
Yeah. And fill them up, to where there's something every hour, that's going on. But
So
again,
we should have a list of the buses that are we're going to try to fill up, and then time slots for people to sign up for.
Yeah, I mean,
So we
there's
can try
other
to-
bus stops, I'm sure, that are not on that list, and I don't want to exclude those.
But I think we should focus our efforts on the ones that
Yeah.
yeah.
we can always offer it.
Do you-
But
Do
and
you have the
those ones
list
we wanna
from
try to-
Carol of the students that were used last time? Can we
Yeah,
get that?
yeah, we hit.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't give us any lists.
But what she's gonna do is invite everybody to attend. So it would be, the different people who have done it in the past primarily, and any names that we would give them. Like, for instance, contacts at All Saints, that there's going to be a meeting about arts and transit on, at 10 o'clock at wherever. I mean, I think most of the meetings that we had were daytime meetings, and everybody seemed to attend all right.
Yeah.
And then people said, well, I could do this and I could do that. See, it kind of, in my mind, from what I saw happen, the meetings were sort of the place where you gave people lots of different ideas about what they could do, because in the beginning, they had no idea what they should do. Well, what could we do? What should we do? And then you start saying, well, you could do this and this and this and this and this. And then they go, oh, okay. And then they've got a jumping off point. But we'll have the
So you
Polk
put
Vision is going to call the first meeting from their last
okay.
thing, at which point we will then become the organization, and Tom would be there,
Got it.
to say, we hope everybody has a good time, let's participate, so on and so forth.
Okay.
The Winter Haven people, it's the only time that I saw any of them was at the planning meetings, and they would have good ideas about, well, we're going to do this, and then somebody else would say, oh, that's a good idea, we'll do that over here.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so
So basically, the same people are on board. We just got to get them in a room together.
right, and or one-on-one. I think the one-on-one with the school systems, it seems to be, I mean, all of the schools said, yeah, we'd like to do it.
It probably
A
requires
third
a meeting
did.
in person with the art teacher.
Right.
or
You
that
won't
kind
get
of
them there
thing.
in the daytime because they got to work.
Yeah, and the students, I don't know how successful getting students from a high school or any
usually
other
it has
grades.
to be a scheduled field trip or something.
We didn't have
Right.
any problem with students getting on the bus last year
In the middle of the day.
in the middle of the day.
Okay.
High school students?
High school students.
We'll see what maybe the people.
I mean,
some-
Harrison and the different. Yeah, I mean, they
some
were
other
all over the
locations
place.
would be down that we can.
And it was
ask.
10 to 2 was the time that most everybody did it. It wasn't after school
Right,
or
right.
anything.
Okay.
It was during the day.
Well, I mean, the only one who would have authority over that is the bus driver, right? And he knows arts and transit's happening.
Well,
right?
no, but I mean the school themselves
They're
That's-
not like arrested for truancy, for instance. You know,
Right.
like I'm
Right.
skipping school and riding
Well,
the
it's-
bus.
Was it not considered like service, like part of service hours for some
I
of these kids?
imagine.
I think
yeah,
it
I mean,
was.
it depends on what the individual school, how they.
Yeah, this is service time.
I would think so. I mean, I don't think it would be right to give any kids a problem for participating in the daytime at all. I just get, I'm aware of, school schedules, abilities for some students to make that kind of a
Commitment.
hours. And if there's schools that are like really embracing of the idea and will help facilitate their participation.
Well,
Oh,
that's
I'm down.
probably was. I mean, Harrison was clearly because they're
Right.
an art
Right, right.
school.
Right.
You know, whether or not we had anybody from George Jenkins, I doubt it. I mean, it just.
I would love if we could get their art students involved, because sometimes there's a diamond in the rough in those art programs. Just
Yeah.
kids that are really good at, schools that maybe they didn't get into Harrison. Maybe they don't go to private school, but there's still, public school kids who are really into art, or a different kind of art form, maybe like making, graphic novels or comic books or anime or something like that. That's kind of a non-traditional type of art. That'd be
I was
interesting.
told someone read Tupac on the bus last year.
That's
which
pretty
was,
awesome.
It was pretty awesome to say. I mean, I think that's great. So
Yeah.
if other students or other people want to do like poetry reading or even just other
It was
forms of art, that'd be awesome.
it was Winter Haven Black city manager.
That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Do we want to have like T-shirts or something?
I like T-shirts.
I do, because it kind of pre-advertises for it, so people know what's going on.
The
but-
difficulty is the cost. Every time you start
True.
doing something, you're incurring cost.
True.
And when all is said and done, just staffing will eat up
That's true.
your budget.
You don't have to pre-order the shirts, so you could have like an online order form where it's like, this is the design. If you like it, and we get 20 people who want them, then we'll get them, and kind of spin it that way. But I agree. I love T-shirts. I think that it's walking advertisement, and there's a caveat to that. Now, here it is. I have a whole bunch of T-shirts that people only get like the really crummy feel and the really crummy fit, right? So it's like a guy's size. It's like really terrible material, and I'm like, I don't ever want to wear this again, and it like sits in my drawer. But if you get the really, really nice feeling ones and they are like cut to your body, I will wear that shirt time and time again.
Mhm.
I will. And it's walking advertisement. It's free advertisement. You have it all year long. People are wearing your shirt all year long.
2 years ago, the guy who won the award for the Lakeland Chamber of Commerce is a screen printer. He might want to do that and advertise his screen printing at the same time. I don't remember his name. I just remember he was the screen printing person that won the award.
That'd be cool.
I just don't think we have it in the budget.
No, I'm saying they would do that to sponsor us. We wouldn't pay for it.
We-
They would.
What we could do.
So we should find sponsors to pay for it. That's what you're saying.
Well, what we
So
could
I don't
do-
think they would
If I'm a
do
scr-
their whole.
if I'm a screen printing place and I want to advertise for my screen printing, if I made 25 T-shirts for the arts and transit people, I'd be advertising in front of a lot of people.
True.
Right.
And
And
if
the,
they
talked
rated a
to-
really nice shirt, I might wear it at a bunch of other events, in
At-
which it's free advertising everywhere I go.
absolutely. At the October 1st Friday, if you brought your own T-shirt, then you pretty much can guarantee that you're getting a nice fit, comfortable T-shirt. If you bring your own T-shirt, the ink guys screen printed the First Friday logo on there, and they were there. I mean, we're DLP First Friday event, so we don't pay anybody to come to that, and they were more than happy to come and screen print on T-shirts, but people had to bring the T-shirts. But that's kind of a cool selling point, is like, you bring your T-shirt, here's a stand, you get your T-shirt printed here and you wear it.
So that's another way to get people to come to Art City Arts.
We could
Just
do
to
a
have that on a Saturday before that
pre-print.
happens, and you come and get your T-shirt and have the printing guys come
Yeah.
and print your shirt.
I talked to the guys at Ink, the screen printing place in town here, about us, and maybe maybe actually having somebody come and sit in a little bit about it, and maybe be able to do something like that, especially for Art City. It'd be kind of neat.
That'd be cool.
I'm pretty decent friends with Andrew, who he's a bartender. He used to bartend at Molly's. Now I think he's at Tucker's or whatever. But he that's one of his jobs. So they were at the the Polk Gallery showing. So I think they'd be pretty much about that because it's exposure for them too.
Oh, cool.
And they're always
Yeah.
growing. So
Yeah, let's talk to them. They're, like I said, they were willing to do the First Friday event. We didn't pay them, so it's advertising for them, and it'd be cool advertising for us, and them, so you can talk them into it.
James, you guys have a source for T-shirts, like a cheap source of T-shirts, or is that gone?
Now, David Sinclair is a buddy of mine. He used to get T-shirts. You can get them fairly cheap if you get one color. So if you guys are a little bit artsy with how you do it, you can get T-shirts for like $2 or $3 a piece. But you got to buy in bulk.
Right.
So you got to buy
Right,
a couple hundred T-shirts.
right.
And they're, like she was saying, they're generic, not nice. But if you know a screen printer and you know somebody who makes shirts, then you can source your own stuff.
Maybe we could get people to take their shirts off and silk screen it on their back.
there we go. That's the thinking.
Ouch.
That sounds like a
Temporary
summer event.
tattoo.
Summary of it.
I think it's hot.
It would be hot if they put a silk screen on their front.
You pig.
Wow, wow.
So a little bit on the beautification side of this, are most of the stops just like, I don't know the bus routes that well here. Are they just like a pole with, the route number and then a little schedule, or are like
Or
half
less.
of them have like, or less? Okay, so then they're not like, they don't have benches, they don't have covers, anything like that.
The ones
So I
in,
saw one with a cover, but they're kind of minimal.
Yeah,
I don't know how
scarce.
much variance there is between the styles at each stop. I'm not really familiar with the Polk transit system at all, except for what I've seen today.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't. But that's just what I can tell. Like they're pretty minimal.
Okay.
We could certainly take a trip to the bus terminal to see how institutionally ugly it is. It is Barfsville. Is it? There's
Well,
n-
So what are
Yeah,
some things we can make it so
there's
it's not
nothing-
Barfsville?
there's nothing about the terminal other than it's a terminal.
If you
You
if
know,
we had some cool live
it's
music
terminal.
there, it'd be a little bit different scene. And I do think that painting the trim some different colors would work wonders for.
I'm
the
just thinking of something
atmosphere.
we can do like you guys did last time. You wrapped the trees, did a mural, wrapped some of the trees around there, did colors and stuff like that. I'm just thinking of something that we can do like permanent, semi-permanent, just to kind of
Those lasted-
enhance the bus systems.
They lasted for like 4 months.
Yeah. So do we want to do that again, or we want to try a different route?
Yeah,
What are we thinking on that end?
Can we like I don't know how many bus stops there are. There's got to be a lot, right? But we could make an ant stencil and stencil it on the ground.
I
Oh,
love it.
definitely. Yeah.
That wouldn't be too permanent because we don't want anything that's too permanent.
Yeah, I would encourage if you wanted to cross, the ant theme often with the arts in transit, I would encourage that, is just like a loose, artistic choice that you or other people in the group might feel like, scattering ants around town to, create interest and intrigue. But, I like that idea, 3D, 2D, vocals, performance art, it is all good.
so I
agree.
could
The
sing
more the merrier.
"The ants go marching one by one."
No.
Hurrah!
As people board the
hurrah.
bus.
Yeah.
That was completely
The ants go
excluded.
marching one by one. Hurrah! Hurrah!
You cracked there.
And somebody else is playing a violin.
Yeah.
Come on, you got to sing
little
from
one
your
gets up.
diaphragm. You got to belt it out. It's got to come from the diaphragm.
Yes. Breathe, David, breathe.
One gets off to paint a picture.
I can do it. I can do it. I was being quiet.
Well, I do like the idea of integrating the two concepts. I think that's a really good idea. I think it'd be really good for us when we do have our arts and our city ants
Yeah.
event.
So every bus stop has at least a pole with the bus route number, right?
I don't know.
I
Not sure.
don't know.
I think they'd at
I don't-
least have to have the number
Yeah.
standing there.
Where else? Where would the bus know where to stop? Where would
I
the
didn't
people
know
know where to
it's
wait?
supposed to stop.
There is a
See,
stand.
you
but,
know, the other thing that, you know, and we asked this today, I mean, specifically, is it part of your goal to expand to other areas of the city and or, you know, Frostproof is a part of our bus system
Mm-hmm.
and Lake Wales is a part of our bus system. And they said, no.
Oh, really?
They said our experience is that we don't know how to connect to that community. It's too involved trying to get people down there to make it, you know, do the rah-rah sort of thing and
Yeah.
trying to make the whole thing work. And, you know, we would just be happy for it to be the same as it's always been, only better. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Bigger,
And
more
I think
stuff. Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the inclusion
but not
of
expanded outside of whatever. So, although, you know,
the Polytech was new, and they did seem okay with like including.
what's a new
that.
bus line? Yeah.
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 But other than that, like expanding the areas territorially, they were like,
No.
yeah.
Should
You
we
know,
try to have?
I even said, you know, you know, right down here at Walmart, there is a mini bus terminal, if you will. There's three. It's a convergence of three bus lines, and of course that means that three buses are going to be there at the same time at 10 minutes after the hour or something, which means that you're going to have maybe 60 people, 20 people on each bus that, you know, were getting off and getting on, and, you know, each time, you know, so, and I said, you know, well, what about that? I don't think I'd bother. You know, they said, well, there's one up at Lakeland Square, but nobody knows where it's at. You know what I mean? You know, so every time we tried to expand it conceptually, they kind of poo-pooed it. Didn't you feel like it was kind of like,
yeah,
no,
they didn't
keep
totally shut it down, but they were
keep
like,
keep it here at the terminal. That's where our success has been.
Yeah, so I mean, if there was an interested party that really wanted to do something that's technically on the line, I'm not going to tell them no.
No.
But you know, as far as effectively trying to push it in other areas, you know, I'm open to suggestion, and if there's not like a big response or interest or a large ridership there to focus on, you know, I'd be happy to focus on areas that will affect more people. But
Right. I
don't
think
wanna
that's our best bet.
yeah, I don't want to ignore people or demographics intentionally, you know, either. But I'm not even a citizen of Polk County, so I'm just gonna go with some suggestions that have been given to me and learn along the way.
What are
So
the
do-
different things people did last time? So you painted on the bus. How did you paint? How did you have your thing you're painting on fastened to the bus? Or
He had an
I
easel.
put an easel.
okay, what else did people do?
There were some people that had skateboards. They
They-
painted on their lap. I saw pictures of.
They were people. There was Adam Justice and someone else from the museum, and they were promoting their event.
Mm-hmm. In a skate.
Um,
This thing says bus
They were-
yoga. Did anyone find out what that is? This paper.
That would be very
I didn't see
hard.
any
I
photographs
know.
of that.
Maybe
Yeah.
just yoga breathing. I'm not
That'd be
sure we can
really
do
But
this.
there-
and also almost dangerous.
But there were singing and everything.
Okay.
You know, on the bus. There was a, violinist. Not everything that happened is there. Those were like scheduled things,
Yeah.
and then there were a lot of
Last minute throw in the bag. type thing.
non-scheduled things that somebody just would get on the bus and
Yeah, I don't think they had
Play
the
the
flash mobs
violin.
on the schedule, for instance, but they were very happy to have them
Oh
occur.
boy, it's 2:00. Where's the flash mob? Okay, so we kind of have a few different aspects right now. We need something for the opening and closing night. We talked about it last time, right? We were going to do something for an opening closing night, so either performances or something like that at the terminal.
It's like an either or. It didn't
Either
think
or.
it had to be
Okay,
like
one
both.
or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what night of the week would that be for opening night?
Sunday.
And the closing is on
Saturday.
Friday, Saturday.
well, it closes on Friday, but then it would be our option whether we do it on Friday or Saturday. I think.
Yeah.
Friday,
think-
Saturday would be best.
I imagine Saturday would be better
Is
than a
the-
Friday night.
Yeah.
Is their ridership different on Saturdays than the other
There-
days of the week?
The bus terminal closes at 6:00
On
every day. There's only one exception to the rule. It's the Polytech bus.
Right.
And it's a limited schedule. I mean, they know when it's coming and going, and it runs till 12. Last bus out of downtown headed for Polytech or vice versa is at midnight.
What happened for the closing event last year?
There was no closing or opening event. This was when we talked about it in October, doing one in October, that was one of the things that was brought up as people thought we should have is those
Like a
events.
kickoff.
Hey Dave,
But we didn't
her
have
feet
one.
are pulling on her cable for her headset.
Okay.
I think an opening might be better because it's kind of fun to have a closing and celebrate and stuff. But an opening might be better because then we can give everyone the schedule for that week. Be like, these are the activities that are going on. Then we get more people to participate because people come to the opening. Hey, pass out a few of these.
The,
people
the
you know if they're
only
gonna go on the
problem with
bus.
a Sunday is that people are going to work on Monday.
True.
If you do
Yeah.
a Sunday opening, do you find it difficult to get people that will come and stay for a while
Yeah,
to see your event because we
Mhm.
all have to go to work tomorrow?
it's true.
Could I propose that
I'm
for
married. So
all right, well, let me just move on to my next proposal then.
Ooh, who's next?
Yeah, who is next? So here's an idea, and this is definitely contingent on whether or not the Citrus Connection is willing to cooperate in such a way. But if we had like a closing event or an opening event, either one, in order to encourage people to take the bus to the event, we could have an online pre-registration, and for those people who registered to come to the event, if it was, free or a minimal price, could we get the Citrus Connection to give them free ridership for that day to the event?
probably, if we had 5 pickup points, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
4 pickup points or 3 pickup points? I don't know what they would want if there was a.
But then I'm saying, because then it could go back to that, the terminal hub in Lakeland, and then we could do the cool concert that we've always wanted to do, and that could be the event. And of course, we could have art and stuff like that.
This would happen at the terminal.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you would pre-register, and if you pre-registered, if there would be a free or nominal fee, right, to come to the event, and those people who pre-registered would get, free ridership to the event. The caveat would be it'd have to be early enough for them to then go back on the bus. I mean, I don't know how what kind of entertainment are we going to have that ends before 6? That's the problem.
That's the sort of thing, though, that if we said we would like to have it at 6, and it's going to be over or the last bus leaves the terminal to take you back to where you parked, at 8 or 9 or whatever, they might run a special bus,
Okay.
for specifically to accomplish that.
That would be
Just
pretty
to-
cool.
Just
we
for the
gonna-
purpose of putting people on the bus, I would imagine, that normally don't ride the bus. So
Yeah, because if we
if
got
you-
like 3 bands or 2 bands that like people are into, and that'd be a whole slew of people that probably don't normally ride the bus that would get on the bus to go see bands that they want to see, or artists. If we had artists
Well,
doing things down there
Even
during
if they
the
don't
same
get on
time
the
that they
bus
want to
and
see.
they just come to the terminal.
what's that?
So even if they don't ride the bus and they just come to the terminal.
Right.
Yeah,
Right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter
They
how
can
they get
walk
there.
there.
We just want them to come there.
Yeah.
right.
Or they can,
So you did like a 5 to 8 on Friday.
We can't do anything until the terminal closes.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Because-
how are we going to do the other things while it's open?
What do you mean?
Well, if we have music there or artists
That's just
there,
an
or whatever.
individual
during the
thing.
So,
day,
like,
during the
improv.
day, there's a main corridor that runs down the center of it that you can do. But if we're going to have any food trucks, refreshments,
Yeah, you can't be in the way
stage
of the
set up, you
buses.
can't be in the way of the buses.
Well, how are the buses going to take them home then?
That's
Well,
what the special
perimeter.
bus
That's
afterwards
yeah.
was like kind of.
Okay.
Yes, then you're
suggested.
dealing with 4 buses, and you can maybe park them out
Gotcha.
there on the perimeter.
Okay.
There's always isn't the post office just
Right.
next door too? So that's I don't
Yeah,
know if they
parking
can use
is
their
easy.
right.
Oh yeah, we can. And there's a empty lot next to it where the building next to it is.
Is
and-
there like electricity and stuff for bands to hook up their
Yes.
stuff to and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a probably good idea. And there's also roof coverage.
There's like roof coverage under the
Minimal.
center part of the.
Nothing
terminal.
that would prevent rain.
But yeah, you'd get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it rains,
You just
and
cancel it.
if it rains, unless you rented a tent,
Well, let's get a sponsor for a tent. Can't be that hard, right?
are you volunteering
Are you the
to
sponsor?
find the sponsor for the tent?
I'm not volunteering to pay. No, I could look. Yeah. Are we doing this before I start asking people?
Well, I mean,
We need to
if we
finalize
if we
exactly
have
what's
if we
going-
have a
Gonna go
tent,
on.
we would certainly use it. If we don't have a tent, we'd have to do without.
That stands to reason.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean, so if we had a tent, why wouldn't you use it?
But I mean, what I would do is ask, for a sponsor. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. I mean, we could use it for anything if somebody sponsored it. They don't really care when we're using it. Okay.
And why don't we just have the opening event at? Does it have to be at the terminal?
Such a great venue.
They liked the fact that they could get media people to the terminal a lot easier, and they encouraged, more prominent performances there, just from that aspect that they could, get the news and other radio station hosts to spend some time there.
And
And cover
buses. The
Because your
background of the buses.
right, but your opening thing has to be on a Sunday.
You don't necessarily have to have an opening event.
You could have a closing event.
Right.
It's like
Well,
one.
no, I
Which
think the
would be a
closing event is
Saturday.
a good idea. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Friday evening, like 5 to 8. 6 to 8, 6 to 9.
6 to 9 works.
I think
Mhm.
that'd be ideal.
But if the buses stop coming at 6, don't people have to set up a little bit before an event starts? So don't we need to stay at 7 or something?
7 to,
Yeah,
I mean,
see-
2 hours
see,
for
that's-
2 bands
that's-
is fine.
It's actually why that they preferred Saturday, is there is no bus service on Saturday. So
Oh, really?
your setup time can be any time during the day on Saturday, and then
Right, but nobody will ride the bus to come to the event.
well, if we have special
So
runs, if we
true.
have special routes for that purpose, they would. if it was
It would take a lot of
pre-registered.
advertising to get them.
So if you had a
But
bus
they don't do
taking
Sunday
people
routes
from-
either, right?
No,
Yeah.
So
uh-uh.
it's like it'd be the same kind of thing you'd have
True.
to set up for an opening event
And-
as opposed or
Yeah, and if you had a 9 o'clock closing, you can't get anybody home unless you have a special bus anyway.
Right.
True.
So
We-
you'd want a bus to come from like Florida Polytechnic, Florida Southern, Southeastern, maybe downtown Winter Haven or whatever, just some core places.
No,
Mhm.
or maybe from
what's on that
Imperial Lakes. Somewhere south
you wanna know?
in Lakeland to north,
list? Those are
Yeah,
the
well,
more
somebody
popular.
somewhere
um,
north
They have
in
bus
Lakeland to
number
central
11, number
What's
30,
the little shopping center down there by the
15.
Parkway,
Lakeland Terminal.
Lakeside Village.
Lakeside Village
Oh,
from
yeah.
there?
Yeah, you could do something from Lakeside Village to here. Different, but you'd want to do it in already populated, densely populated
Right.
places where people, because all you're trying to do is get them on the bus. They're not going to necessarily ride the bus every day just because they got on
Right,
at
right.
one time.
Do you think the food trucks would come there?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a group of people who are going to give them business, I think they would.
And so we just had the Art City Arts happen over there instead
They
of
can
over here.
they can pull into all the little bus pull-up spaces too. Like it's a very ideal spot to have a nice little food truck rally, actually, from, like just location-wise.
What about the Art City Artists? Because we typically have that on a Saturday.
Yeah, but are we talking nighttime? Is this a night event?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I guess my
Typically
first
parties
question.
aren't night.
I guess my first question would be, are we going with music? What are we offering? I think for me to go see, some kind of band play, I'm usually going at night. I'm not going during the day. I mean, what are
True.
we going to be offering? Are we going that route?
Well, I think
Well,
the
anybody that-
Glass House Point guys would probably show up.
Any music that wants to play, I am personally open to have them.
Should have auditions
You
there.
know,
We
yeah,
don't.
go
But if we
for
get
it.
like 50 people,
Yeah,
Like the
but
Chris Walker
it,
band might come.
it probably would be if we're going to spend some money somewhere, though it might be a good idea to have a band that does create a
'Cause
draw.
Isn't that how we met Chris Walker at USF Polytechnic when he was like performing there?
Oh yeah, he was doing the Arts on the Green event,
Yeah.
and that did happen to be free. Although he does play for money at other venues and stuff.
he'll take money.
Anybody
All right, so
will
we
take.
Yeah,
we,
I mean,
have two musician people to like or groups to contact. Anybody else?
Soul Committee. Stephanie, who works at Black and Brew, she's in a band. It's a soul funk band. They're pretty
Awesome.
Be
good.
good.
Awesome.
Well, that's 3 for a lineup. I know somebody can make an awesome music festival poster.
Can she make a Gasparilla poster?
He did.
I already did.
Did-
Hope you
Uh,
can all make it out to that so you can enjoy seeing it.
She,
If you
uh,
don't, if you
Rachel
don't know, she
won
stuck
the
in traffic in it.
contest
yeah.
for the Gasparilla Art Show poster this year.
Music festival. The art
Music
show is a
festival.
separate thing.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that means she has a booth. They make prints. She signs them, sells them. All that
Awesome.
stuff. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Should have seen her
And-
dancing earlier today.
It also means that Rod lost.
It is. I'm a
You
loser.
know, because
A
he
house
sub-
divided.
he submitted also, and
But I raised the bar too because I had, she saw my poster coming along and she's like, "Oh, gotta raise, gotta up it up."
Nice. Healthy competition.
Mhm.
Very cool. That's
And
awesome.
I get to put my art up anyways because they have a show where they auction off the art that people submitted.
Do you have a
Mhm.
picture of your poster?
I do on my phone.
I want to see it.
We'll pass it around.
so one of the things that will also happen is the day that whatever day that Polk Vision chooses to do, our committee becomes larger because there'll be other people
Yeah.
that will be involved, some of them very superficially. Like, for instance, the symphony will come on the day. I already saw the poster
I want to
itself.
see it.
It's Monica.
Oh, don't be so selfish, Dave.
Yeah, the ISO. They're volunteering the ISO
Oh.
to be there.
Yeah, the ISO
That is-
came last year.
Yeah.
But the ISO said they just did
It's really
some
good.
some individual things. They had a different individual performers.
Okay.
They didn't have a group performance. However, the ISO said if you have an evening event that's classy in nature, we will come. Do you know? So
Hmm.
With the,
That's cool.
just as
Yeah.
just a logistics thing, if the food trucks are there, and there's music there, like the food trucks are noisy. Is that like a
that
problem?
means the music has to be noisier.
Okay.
So did ISO say they would come? They would come if it's classy and play. That's what they're saying.
Right.
So could we, and they said they would do it for a cost, or they would do it for free?
We haven't heard anything about it being a price.
Because if we could get them to, if we could get them to play an opening event, we could have bands to play a closing event and get two really different demographics to come. Yes, not to both events, but the opening and the closing. That would be really cool. There are no losers in art.
That's why I keep on telling myself.
Only preferences.
Yeah, I also looked at this as an opportunity to just have my stuff up at the Tampa Museum of Art.
Oh, that is really nice. Very cool. That one's really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, you two.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have lost if I hadn't snuffed him out.
Oh.
Yeah, I liked yours, but I liked his too. I think I liked his because he surprised me. You know what I mean? As I didn't expect much out of him. Do you know what I mean? You know? and then when he performed, I went, damn.
He is in the room,
You don't think of me as an artist yet.
You're right. Yeah, I mean,
have
that
a-
was the thing. Is the first time I'd seen any of your art, so I went, whoa, that's pretty damn good, right? So I was rooting for you.
All right, right on. I need a fan base. Well, I like the idea of having sort of a music art festival thing in the evening, afternoon on that Saturday. I think that's a really good idea.
And then what about her idea to open with the ISO and close with bands?
What's
That's
the
cool.
What's the ISO?
It's a
Symphony
symphony.
Imperial Symphony
Orchestra.
Orchestra.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Ooh.
That'd be very cool.
That
No, I
way,
like that.
That'd be great.
that could be maybe
We'll
a
start
Sunday
classy,
thing-
and then we'll
a Sunday thing
declassify it
be-
as the night goes on.
yeah a Sunday
Van
thing.
Halen cover band coming up.
The real bands are here.
Glow sticks.
Nice.
Glow sticks.
But a Sunday thing that was, it could be a Sunday early afternoon beginning or something. Except that it is
There's
still
a lot of
gets
church
dark.
going on Sundays. Like
It's true.
you're competing with a lot of church people.
Not too much at night these days.
Okay.
The Saturday thing, it's kind of nice to start it not too late late in the afternoon, but not necessarily into the evening, because you'll catch a lot of people in the 4 to 5 o'clock hour when the sun is going down a little bit, starting to cool off. Will come and hang out for a music festival thing, and then
When
take it
does the
on into
time
night.
change?
April.
March. No, it'll be in
Great.
March.
I would say
Great
March this
question.
time, yeah.
The 20-something, like 22nd, 20th.
I never know until it actually happens.
There you go. Got
I'm
to
late.
sleep or lost an hour.
Something tells me it's the middle of March. This
March
year.
8th.
Sounds right.
March 8th.
Okay.
Okay. And so we
Sunsets at like what 6:30 then?
7:30. 7:30.
So can we make posters to advertise our thing and put them on the buses so they're up there for weeks ahead of time? And it would require us knowing who our music lineup is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So who's gonna? You said you had the contact with ISO, David.
It all starts with a kickoff meeting that Polk
it.
Vision, puts everything together, having been the sponsor from last time.
Mm-hmm.
and then that's the first actual meeting.
The torch handoff.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean we can't contact somebody ahead of time, but at each time that there has been one of these, the ISO always showed up at the committee meetings
Okay.
and then never could figure out where they fit in.
Okay. Oh, that's terrible.
Do you know what I mean? Because they couldn't do it during the day,
Right. Okay.
and there was never anything for them at night, you know,
Mhm.
and so then they found a violinist who would play or a cellist who would play and somebody.
So we're kind of just waiting for that meeting to happen. Do you think that's the proper political thing to do?
No, I don't think we have to wait, but I think that's when, and we haven't told them when we want that meeting to be.
We haven't scheduled that.
Yeah, because it was just today that we actually agreed. It was
And
talk
you
up
picked a
until
date that a time frame.
Yeah.
So this ISO, how long would they want to play?
I don't know. I assume they'd do at least an hour concert.
Because All Saints also has a very strong strings group of people.
Yeah, I don't think it'd have to be ISO, but I think ISO would bring more people out. But I don't think it has to be them. If they don't want to and we could get somebody else, I think that would be great.
Well, All Saints can also they could follow up after the symphony's done, and just kind of be a transition to any other acts that would be like even later on the lineup.
And I also, part of the besides the fact that I worked there, like I bring them up also because I know when the kids show up, the parents show up, and their friends show up, and it drags a bunch of other people out there to it.
For sure.
That was what happened when Harrison performed. Is that, and it's also what happens every time a First Friday event involves kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the schools, it just
blows up.
And does Harrison of the Arts, do they also have like a more of a classical music group and some people that could play, some jazz or
They have a
funk or
jazz
something
ensemble and they have a classical
actually
group.
Thielen, who is the ISO director, was the director of Harrison until this last year, in which case Roberts took over when Thielen dropped out this year. But they're really good band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, really
that's,
good.
That's the guy that does the arts at All Saints, right, Mr. Thielen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you, and then Roberts was his follow up. But yeah, they're.
So what are
first class.
what are action items for helping out with arts in transit? What do we need to do?
Well, I will try to get hold of the Chris Walker Band and to the Glass House Point guys and see if they can put that on their schedule, and that is a good moment for them.
I think if anybody here has artists or friends on their own personal lists that you have in mind that might be interested in participating, I'd say fan out the word for participation, and you can feel free to CC me on anything or give them my information, but
Start reeling people in.
Reeling people
list.
in to participate would be great, and then I'll be doing some homework about maybe a map of the Polk County transit system, and just trying to visually organize how things are laid out in the city and where the hubs are located and stuff.
So how do we introduce it to the artists? Are we saying, do you want to be part of our bus performances, on the bus performances? Do you want to be part of our terminal performances? Which one are we focusing on?
We would like you to participate in any way they'd like and however they'd like
People
to
are more likely
artistically
to
express themselves.
participate if it's organized. So we say we have bus performances, so on bus performances and terminal performances. Is that the only other aspect of it, those two things?
Yeah, there's bus stops, terminal, and then on the bus were the three main
So
ideal
for instance,
locations.
if somebody wanted to play at Walmart, they could set up and paint at Walmart.
And if you found a random lonely bus stop somewhere in Lakeland and you wanted to decorate it, great. You know,
As
go
long
all
as it
for
wasn't permanent. As long
Yeah.
as we didn't deface any property or
Yeah.
whatever.
So those kinds of things are, you know, completely open to, you know, for people to offer up, you know, their own creative ideas.
Do we want to? Will they even let us do this? During the month that it's going to be held at, do we want to have like flyers at each of the bus stops, like in one of those plastic mail?
That's what I thought.
Something
if we
like that.
if we design some sort of poster, put it out all over the place.
That
Maybe
would
on
be
the
a
buses
that
and the
would
bus
have to
stops.
be a question. Kathy, who was not there, who was
Uh-huh.
supposed to be there, but her father died. You heard that
I did, yeah.
part of it. Kathy is actually Tom doesn't really get too much involved. This is the last time we'll see Tom until there's an event.
Okay.
Okay, but Kathy is always there, and it's his marketing person, and she'll be able. And then Donovan Tinsley is their marketing company. Now Donovan Tinsley's wife is the director of the ISO. You know, which is part of that
The overlap there. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
overlap.
Cool.
But he, you know, Kathy is the one that we would say, is there a place to put up posters, and can we? And she would say, yes, there is. The maximum size that you have room for, because you can't cover up our bus schedule or whatever,
Right.
is such and such.
Okay.
You know, but I'm sure
We can get that answer.
we can get those answers from Kathy, but her father died this week, so she's out of town.
But she's got there is a separate marketing budget already earmarked, but it's not necessarily like we could incorporate posters into that.
Yes, we could.
Okay.
Do we?
Yeah, posters could go in her printing budget. She has a $1,500 printing budget, but it has to print the after the fact. What a wonderful success it was
Right.
brochure.
Their bragging brochure.
Their
and then,
bragging
and
brochure.
then some maybe advertising for
Do
it.
all the
Okay.
bus stops have like when they have the schedule on each of the bus stops with the number, and then they have the schedule below? Is that particular pole one of those that has the holes in it?
It's
Those
not
are
uniform
questions,
enough
yeah.
around
It's
not uniform enough,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think all of them have a bus schedule listed
Yeah, some of
at
them
the
just
bus
have the
stop.
number.
Yeah.
Basically, it sounds like this meeting just has to happen, and then we can talk more intelligibly about what we're going to do or can possibly do.
And or make a trip to the bus terminal and see Kathy.
When
Do-
do you think she'd be able to meet with us?
When are you going
Well-
to see Kathy?
Well, well,
When she gets back from the
when
funeral.
she gets back from the funeral,
Yeah.
you know. So I mean, beginning next week, you could see Kathy.
Do we want to have our meeting there then? See if she wants to either come here to the Tuesday meeting or we come to her.
No, I wouldn't invite her to this meeting.
Okay.
That would be
Too much information.
Okay.
yeah. Kathy is just kind of a resource person that you're going to ask questions to. Can we do this? Where's this? What are the size of this or that? And
So do we
she's
all
a-
want to meet with him, or do we just want to have a few
no,
people
just
go see
a
him?
just a person can
Okay.
can do it, you know. But like for instance, this Carol Savadra, who is the Polk Vision person, created this. Didn't create this. She got people to agree to the times. She then gave it to Donovan Tinsley, who is their marketing person, who then produced this and created PDFs that went on everything, and then did the press releases that went to the press, you know, the radio stations and so forth. And by the way, the radio stations will participate. They'll come down, and anytime we don't have music, they can do music. If we don't have music one day, they'll, you know, Max 98 or one of the country stations or something will do something.
Cool.
But then so we don't really have to worry about the marketing of the event too much. Yeah, we do from the standpoint of Polk Vision used their Facebook page, you know, to post things about it. But if you weren't already a follower of Polk Vision,
Well,
you wouldn't know.
A lot of people just started liking Art City's Facebook page, so we could cross promote
Absolutely.
that
Right.
since we're all going to be
Right.
somewhat very
of
involved
the
in the
arts, yeah.
Right,
production and
absolutely.
participation.
Yeah. And the DLP would, you know, promote it. But I don't think we have to worry about promoting it so much as we have to worry about
Making it a success.
we have to have somebody at 8:15, 9:15, 10:15, 11, 12, 12, 1. Yeah, I mean, you know, we have to create the content.
That's why I
And-
think if we have slots, then people can sign up for the bus they want, the slot they want, type of thing. So, do we want to have all these buses that are already on here are goal participants as far as
I
having
would.
people on the bus?
Yeah.
Okay, so these ones.
Definitely those.
And I mean, you know, we can talk to Kathy and say, other than this, are there some other ones that are popular? And she may say, yeah, if you got more people, but they're not going to want to they're not going to want it to look like on any one day there's only one event somewhere. They wanted a congested thing.
So these activities were actually on the bus. So stapling art was on the bus, stage combat was on the bus, caricatures were on the bus.
Or at the terminal,
these
what does it
times.
say?
It says it's a location, yeah. So the WH terminal location had photography.
Yeah.
The number 12 Lakeland WH had caricature. So these are stops.
So I could bring
Bus
like,
terminals, Winter Haven
Oh,
terminal.
okay, these are terminals.
I could bring a couple of thousand Kiva planks and a few seventh graders, and we could
Yes.
build a model of a person right there at the terminal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If
I
you
wouldn't
don't have a
suggest
preference yet,
doing
that'd
it
be
on
great
the
at the
bus, but-
Legoland stop.
The terminal would be great.
No, the terminal would be the
We
place to
could
do
build
it.
a Kiva
Legoland
plank
terminal.
model of a Lego thing.
Exactly. Is the Legoland number 30 Legoland? Is that a stop or a
But-
terminal?
But we don't
I don't
have
know
to
how to
worry
determine
about
that.
Winter Haven.
Okay.
Winter Haven is handled by Arts Ensemble,
Okay.
and you know we're the overall coordinator. But then we have to take some of the funds that they have and pay the Arts Ensemble.
Okay.
Well, just let me know what you want me to do. I mean, just send me an email, or if you're going to create the Google Drive and have a list up there of anybody I can contact or help you contact.
I think we should do the
I'm
Google
here
Drive
for you.
idea. Also, I don't know. I'm not familiar with any of the bus type of thing. Not even really familiar with the area. Can we somehow like get a map of where because you say Winter Haven's not covered, so like what areas, what buses are covered?
And is
Can
there?
we
Do they
get-
have a transit map online?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
all online.
That'll be something.
So how do
I
we?
do
Print it
this
out.
Just
week.
go
Print
to
it
it.
out.
But will that one also include the Winter Haven area? How do I know where it ends, where it stops, and
It's a complete
how
bus.
it's contained?
It shows every
I
route.
think she
Yeah.
means
So
So
that-
if
who's
it goes
covered?
into Winter Haven, how will I know?
Well,
who's
where
covered
our
under
It'll say
boundaries
the
are?
Arts
town.
Ensemble.
Yeah, it might say Winter Haven. Like it might say like Winter. I don't know.
I don't know
You
like
might have
which.
You might
can
have
you
to
take that
contact
and just
somebody.
delineate from that and figure out
See-
those routes?
See, everything generates out of the two terminals. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a spoken wheel sort of thing.
Right.
The two terminals are base for all the buses.
Yeah.
So everything goes out from the terminal, comes back to the terminal, goes out from the terminal, goes back from the terminal. So there are only two terminals that we have to worry about. And we don't have to worry about anything that goes on the Winter Haven out of the Winter Haven terminal. We only have to worry about what comes out of the Lakeland terminal.
That should be able to. You should be able to tell that on
Okay.
the map without
Yeah.
a problem.
Well, if we want to include more of the arts galleries and art spaces like I was talking about before, I'd be happy to look at which places in the locations that these buses do go to exist and start kind of, kind of pinpointing which ones we could contact and say, do you want to participate in some way in this event, whether it
We would have to make sure the stops that are associated with that would have someone there, either doing an activity to kind of direct them. So
I don't think so. I think you
How
could
would-
just be like this art gallery. I guess my point of it is that we could make the art, it's the point is to showcase arts and get people on the bus, but at the same time, we could kill two birds with one stone. We could make the artistic landscape in Polk County more reasonable for people.
Because somebody wouldn't know where all those were.
I don't.
Right.
So
You
do we
know?
want two separate maps? One map
Yeah. Like
showing the
there's
location of each terminal event type of thing, and then another map of these are the art locations connected with the bus.
I think we
Yeah.
could just use different symbols on the same map.
Okay.
We'll have to play with that a little bit, I think. I don't think
Alright.
we'll sort that out right now.
Yeah, it's 6.
But to look
I'm
at the map.
hungry.
Yeah. It's probably time for us to wrap it up.
It's been a
Well, I'll share some stuff on Google Drive with you ladies this week.
All right.
sounds good.
Awesome.
Peace.
And
How do we
and-
do the Google
and sh-
Drive?
And she'll hook you up. You gonna hook them up on Google Drive or
Who's gonna set it
I
up?
will message everybody on Google Drive and
Okay.
invite you to see
Okay.
the documents or
Yeah.
whatever.
and Rachel's the point person with the bus, the whole bus thing. She's ultimately responsible for making it happen. Okay, and her hours and so forth, because of the number of hours that she's going to be involved in it, are going to be paid hours. If we have a need for other paid hours, then somebody's got to bring it up, to say, hey, I've got a whole bunch here, and it's more than I can handle. What you asked for, whatever, and as long as we can budgetary fit it within the budget, then
So basically direct all inquiries to Rachel.
Rachel.
Yes, ma'am.
So we should also involve Randy and filming, and like
Mhm.
all these cool
Yes,
events we do
please.
need to be documented because they're cool
Photographed.
things to see.
How many camera people would we
filmed.
need though? Because if there's events on a whole bunch of different buses,
Correct.
So I'm
And
going to
you're
Some
gonna
of
encourage
get
them-
artists to
snapshots
take
of this and that,
snapshots.
right?
okay.
But if there's people with professional equipment,
I took my own
I would
photographer
would
with
just
me.
I would kind of pick and choose some of like the projected larger.
Should we
events.
encourage like teams of 2 on each bus? So an artist or a singer, whatever, and then a documenter,
Well, like for
or
instance,
like go back
People
and
are
forth, like
just
pair them up.
naturally
Like
prone
you two are
to
going to be on the bus for 2 hours. One
capturing
person's going to
this
perform,
stuff.
one person's going to document, and then you switch. Well, then they'll perform and then they'll document. Do we want to try to?
Yes,
Encourage that?
if they wanna commit to that
Well,
many hours or that much
I
time.
think the
but
first
yeah,
idea is find ways to document it.
Okay.
And then we'll see who we can find and how many people we can help.
Yeah,
get
because
to
sometimes
document it.
maybe the school would, if they have a department that
Right.
does that could be a part of their contribution
Exactly.
is having their department take pictures that they then in turn give to us. And if there's a social media department at a college, that social media department could be one of the ones that we contact and say, on the week of, can you give us 3 kids that all they're going to do is post.
Right. So
And we
this-
need a hashtag.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
You can make one.
Art City.
Oh,
Done. And I'm out.
Ants out.
Hands out.
Right
Great.
on.
Cool. This is
Okay, and
enlightening.
then after we have our committee meeting that is broad based to try to reach all the schools and so forth that they do, then Rachel, anytime she needs to have our involvement, should be able to create her own subcommittee that meets at any time. It doesn't have to be during the podcast time, correct?
Correct. And I like to Skype too, so I mean that's also a good possibility for impromptu meetings.
Okay.
And just for my own personal self, like I miss a faculty meeting every time we do this, and so they're okay with it for a moment, but probably not for all the time. So like if we had this at 4:30, I would not miss the faculty meeting.
Oh, we were, yeah, that's fine. We
But
were.
That's okay.
I think we were originally doing it to accommodate you.
Okay.
I mean, it was
So
the
let's
thought
accommodate
process is
again.
that you were leaving school, you know what I mean, and had to go to Tampa, and so therefore we didn't want to run it too late.
No, it gets
You
late
know?
enough now. Traffic's not a problem. Going
Yeah.
home at 6 is not a problem.
But I mean, if we
Yeah.
decide if we want to move the podcast time to a different time, it doesn't make any difference to me. I know he's always tends to be late because
Scrambling.
he's scrambling to get here. We may have other people that if we moved it to 4:30 or 5 o'clock, we would have a better time slot.
Can we try 4:30 next week?
Yeah.
So that works, and then we can get some more input, and if we need to change it, we can change it.
Now,
Does
we
that work
do,
all right for you? Give you a moment to get a bite to eat before you come here?
I am hungry.
You said you
And
were
we-
hungry.
and we do need to we do need to be not only inclusive but aggressively inclusive to grow this body.
Yes.
You know, you got to bring somebody. You got to bring somebody. You got to know somebody. You got to bring somebody that ultimately is interested in promoting the arts, or we're it. If we're it,
Then we're
then
s-
then
yeah,
the size of the events and the volume of the events and whatever
Right,
that
right.
goes on is lessened because there's only so much that the few can do. The whole concept of ants
Is many,
is many.
multiple.
John's gonna be here next
No
week.
no one is important in the ant population. You know, Randy was reading and was sharing some ideas with me on the ants. You know, it's interesting that the queen actually has a sperm bank of her own.
just in
No.
case.
No, I'm serious. And she holds on to that and for up to 30 years, you know.
Right, because every issue, she can repopulate the community.
Right. No, if there's any issues in it, that each of the workers are just there. They're not any one person any more important than the other. And I think there's a whole lot of things that can be said for us having more ants.
Yes.
So,
And if you don't, I want to still pursue the idea, even if we don't have the ant event till next fall, of getting some people to actually build some ants and
Now.
have a little art contest this spring.
sure. Yeah, that's
Even
fine.
if we just do it right at Art City
Absolutely.
and have the contest right where we have our artists show up.
And we can spot some ants around in order to start creating advertising buzz
That's
for
right.
whatever the event is.
You can do like the billboards. Put your advertisement here, right across its butt.
Like that.
All right.
Cool. Awesome. Have a
All right.
great evening,
Peace out,
everybody.
guys.
You too.
Ants out.
Thank you, IT guy.
Peace out.
Yes, thanks.